Hey guys, welcome to my Let's Talk channel. If you're new, which you probably are because I'm pretty new, I make unscripted conversation about just everyday things in life. It could be serious or random, it really doesn't matter, and my goal here is just to be a relatable channel that you can listen to while you're doing whatever, and you can be interactive with if you wish. And I just want to create an environment where you can throw this on and listen to it in the background, because chances are, if I'm having thoughts about something, then others have to be feeling the same way too. And so in this episode, I want to talk about self-love, because I think it's one of those things where, I think all of us realize that, yeah, self-love is good, we need it, but at the same time, when it's time to employ it, especially for me, I don't want to say others are guilty of this as well, but when life really requires it, then I kind of fail. I fail in really bad ways. And I usually have to really hit my head and I have to suffer for a while before I realize that, wait, like, I'm not gonna beat the situation by beating the situation. I'm gonna beat it by loving myself so hard that I just come out on top regardless of how it goes. And I think somewhat of a similar structure can probably be applied to a lot of people's situations. Because think about it, why do we need self-love? Why do you think you need self-love? There's situations, right? For example, you might be feeling less. If it's more of in a physical sense, and if you have, like, let's say body image issues or something else, well, in your mind, you feel less than. You feel you're comparing yourself to some standard subconsciously, and then subconsciously you're telling yourself you're not there yet. And then comes the self-image issues, the body image issues. Also, sometimes things can happen to us, actual events. So it could be maybe you're going in your day-to-day through your work or through life, and you start to feel less than. You start to made to feel less than. It ends up being something at work, or your manager talks down to you, or you're not quite as appreciated. And then also, if just random situations where you start to feel like you don't matter as much. Your opinions don't matter as much. If you're going through it in life, your pain doesn't matter as much. Your feelings don't matter as much. And all these thoughts, they don't have to be conscious thoughts. You don't have to sit there and consciously decide that, hey, this is how I feel. Okay, now I need love. It's, at least for me, that's not how the process goes. It just happens subconsciously, and then before I know it, I'm in dire need of more self-love, and I didn't even realize that I put myself in that position to begin with. Obviously, if things happen to me, I can't control that. You know, like, just today, like, I had something happen with my boss, for example, and it sucks, whatever. I do feel extremely underappreciated, so I'm not saying that, like, I'm causing my own pain and therefore I need self-love, because sometimes things happen to you. That's okay. But at the same time, only my role here, only my actions will pull me out of this. Like, if I depend on my boss to say something kind or loving, or if I want to be appreciated and I wait until I feel that way before I allow myself to feel better, then I'm only prolonging my misery. It's true. It's unfair that I am in this position to begin with. It's unfair that he spoke to me however he spoke to me. Whatever happened is unfair. But at the same time, like, only I can pull myself out, you know? So I think a solution that really helps, and again, I'm not talking like I've got everything figured out, because trust me, I absolutely don't. But I think a solution here is treat yourself as, so if you can detach from your physical body for a second, if you can just float outside your body, and look at your body right now doing whatever it's doing. You can be sitting here looking at a laptop screen, or you can be, I don't know, like sitting on the couch or whatever. Observe your body and then ask yourself the question, how can I take care of this human today? Let that be your thought before you start to indulge into self-love. Because I agree, like, the regular path to self-love is important. Obviously, like, yeah, like, if you need rest, then, like, don't burn yourself out. Like, take a rest day. You know, give yourself a break. I get it. I absolutely understand that there are times where you need to take your foot off the gas. And I'm not saying the solution to self-love and betterment is to put your foot on the gas. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that remove yourself from your body for a second. And when you ask yourself, what does this human need today to excel? Not just to live, not just to thrive, not just to breathe enough to get to the next day. What do they need to excel? And sometimes that solution very well might be, hey, we need to take things easy for a while. Like, we have been mentally beating ourselves up so much that it's starting to take a physical effect on our bodies, or maybe our mood is so bad that we're starting to really, you know, we're not really present anymore in what we do or whatever. So yeah, maybe the solution can be to take a step back or two. but sometimes it doesn't have to be. For example, if self-love means, I don't know, if you're avoiding a really difficult conversation and you know that having the conversation will put you in a better place eventually. Sure, self-love can be take a step back, take a break, rest, and do nothing. Sure, that's a pretty good temporary solution. I think it's a good band-aid to the solution. But also, if you're looking at yourself and you're asking yourself, what does this human need to excel? That human needs that difficult conversation. You know, you need to sort out whatever is bothering you. And so you make yourself do it. You have that difficult talk. I also think this applies in other aspects too. For example, if you make promises to yourself, I think the biggest indicator of self-love, or not indicator, sorry, the biggest influence on self-love is how good we already feel. Meaning we, and me included, we wait till we feel good before we start to love ourselves. So we wait till we're consistent in our goals. We wait until our diet's looking pretty good for a couple days. You know, we've been going to the gym for a couple days. We are on a roll. And next thing you know, you're kinder to yourself. You're smiling more. You have more energy. And if something bad were to happen to you that day, because you're already on a roll, you're not going to let it affect you. You know, so meaning we wait for the good to happen in life before we start to love ourselves for it. But if you're looking at yourself right now, and you know that there's promises you made to yourself, you know that you promised yourself this year that you're going to try to walk 2-3 times a week. Okay. Or you promised yourself that you're going to be better about, I don't know, like taking some medications at every morning when you're supposed to, or the little things like, hey, I'm going to make my bed the first thing in the morning and I'm not going to get back in until it's bedtime. Whatever your promises are that you know will start to set you on better paths and better routines, that can be self-love too. You don't have to love doing it at that time. You don't even have to go for a full workout. If you can go, instead of an hour, if you can go for 15 minutes, and instead of giving it 10 out of 10 effort, if you can give like 5 to 7 out of 10 effort, that's still you fulfilling your promise. If you can't make your bed fully and it's super neatly and you know there's no creases, that's okay. If you can just arrange your pillows and then in a blanket in a way where it looks decent, that's you living up to your promise. And what I'm trying to get at here is, you see how the solution isn't always, you've been through a lot, do nothing. You've been through a lot, you deserve ice cream and the couch. You've been through so much that, you know what, take PTO and go shopping. Again, I'm not saying that's not the solution. I just think that people rely on self-love, meaning I'm going to take a break. I'm going to take a break. And I don't think that's always the solution. I think sometimes self-love is the slightly harder things in that moment, at least, you know? I mean, you're making your bed's gonna take all of 5 minutes anyways. So once you do it, you will be full of those slightly happier hormones and emotions anyways. You know, like it is gonna set you on a better path. You can't work out for an hour, but if 15 minutes happens anyways, I mean, chances are you'll go that hour just because you're already at the gym. But even if you don't, you just fulfilled a promise that you made to yourself. That is the ultimate act of, in my opinion, self-love. And showing up for yourself is sitting there, even on your not so good days, and showing up for yourself. It's almost like this unspoken reminder. If your brain can turn around and speak to itself, it's like, hey, no, we did that thing. You know, we fucking did that thing. I only say that as, obviously, like, there's many different aspects of looking at it. All situations are different. So I definitely don't mean to sound like tone deaf. And I know there are exceptions. So, you know, please don't grill me if it comes down to that. One more thing that I want to remind you is, wherever you are in life is not your forever. I need to remind that to myself too. Usually my need for self-love comes from feeling either behind or, I don't know, something unfair happened to you, something unjust happened, something really, really, really just fucked up happened. And sometimes I have this like bad habit of I just start looking inwards a lot. Or sometimes I just kind of blame the skies, you know? I'll be like, I must deserve all of this tragedy. I must have done something so bad, maybe in my past life, I don't know, but I must deserve some tragedy. And then I will grieve and mourn my situation as if it's going to be like this for the rest of my life. And I have to remind myself that this isn't my forever. And I want to tell you guys this too, is this is not your forever either. This shitty mood, or maybe, you know, living in a place where you don't want to be living, or this job that doesn't treat you well, or the body that you're not fully happy with, or whatever emotion itself that you're stuck in, whether you're waking up every morning crying or whatever, none of it's your forever. This city that you're in might not be your forever. This mindset might not be your forever. The things that make you weak today might not be your forever. All right, I don't want to say weak. I'm sorry. I should say like the stuff that makes you vulnerable and feeling exposed and feeling, bare naked in this like world. That might not be your forever either. You might get to a point where you outgrow a lot of these things, or you end up getting stronger in a way. You develop coping mechanisms. Everything about you and everything about every situation doesn't have to be forever. And I know this can also go in a literal sense, and you're going to tell me like, oh, this tragedy happened. You're telling me that's not my forever either. That's not what I'm saying. For example, like I'm trying to live a life right now, like without parents. I can't tell myself that, no, this isn't my forever. Like I'll have parents again. That's not what I'm saying. But also we have to be realistic in this life of what is actually possible when it comes to healing. Yeah, I won't have parents again. If I'm lucky, I may have in-laws one day. But again, that's a big if, and that's down the road. Right now, I can't even think about that. But yeah, I don't have parents. I'm not gonna just grow parents tomorrow, right? But at the same time, like, if I look deeper and when I'm having my awful breakdowns, sure, I don't have parents, and yeah, it's incredibly hurtful. But also the breakdown comes from something else too. For me, for example, it comes from not having that protective hand on my shoulder, that feeling of being got. I think I only realized that this feeling exists after like not having it anymore. But there is a feeling, like even if your parents aren't in the same city, state, country as you, the fact that they're there somewhere on this planet, the fact that there's just a feeling of there's another human on this earth that wants me to succeed more than they ever succeeded. Like the only person that truly wants nothing but my pure happiness and success, they don't physically exist in their flesh anymore. And it just me personally, it's an awful feeling not feeling God. And so my coping mechanisms against that feeling will get better. Either my self-love grows, and I love myself and I give myself a place of belonging when I don't feel like it right now. So that is an example of my forever changing. If my happiness and my productivity depends on having that protective hand on my shoulder, even if it's like an imaginary hand, maybe that can change later. We don't know that. Maybe some other void fills that gap where I start to feel it less and less. And then before I know it, I'm starting to like love life again. I'm not there yet. So, like, please don't take it as me like preaching to you and telling you what to do, because I'm fucking not there. I'm actually very much in the trial and error process. I'm trying to find, I don't want to say like something that fills the void, but I am trying to find like little ways, I guess, that I can pick myself up. Little ways where I can feel whole and complete without always getting so depressed about like the whole parent situation. And some days are easier than others. But either way, I'm right there with you in my own way. Gosh, YouTube is gonna cut me off at the 15-minute mark because I have some like verification issues. So there's so much more I want to talk about regarding this topic. There's so much I want to talk about regarding how much value that you bring to the world. I want to talk about how you've probably inspired so many people without you even realizing it. You have had presence and charm in conversations before that you don't even know. You've impacted people in ways, and I promise you have. Gosh, I wish I could have made a longer recording because I absolutely want to go into this. You absolutely have, and I can bring up examples that I know you haven't thought of before. It's reasons to remind yourself that, no, I do have value. I am someone. I am important. I do matter. And I'm a blessing, and I'm a gift to this world. When you start to slowly shift your mindset into thinking along those lines, then, what's going to stop you at that point? You may not even need that much self-love after that, because your subconscious response is already to brag on yourself and to lift yourself up. Like imagine being in a mental state where you're just so used to loving the fuck out of yourself that you don't need to remind yourself to do it ever. Like if I ever reach that state, I will be the happiest man on this earth. That seems like the best place to ever be. Gosh, there's so much more I want to talk about. I want to talk about how you're not behind in life. I want to talk about how growth isn't linear, how healing takes time, your feelings matter. There's so much, but I need to cut it off now. Otherwise this video won't be uploaded, and I'll see you guys next time. Thanks.